Dear students, I wish a warm welcome to online classes TEO Nalgonda. Students, as part of our heredity chapter, we have discussed part 1 and part 2. Today, we are going to discuss with part 3, that is about expression of traits and sex determination. Students, in the previous session, that is part 2 and part 1, what they have discussed. In the part 2, in the yesterday's session, we have discussed about the Mendel's experiments, that is, how the Mendel has conducted his experiments on pea plant, that Pisum sativum, about monohybrid cross. Now you are very clear, students, about the monohybrid cross. By taking a single trait, by taking a single character, he explained about the monohybrid cross. By crossing the two parent plants, he got the progeny in the F1 generation with all yellow color seeds, and that yellow color seeds are sown in the soil, and the plants are germinated, and that plants with yellow color cross that self pollinated, and he got F2 generation, in which all the yellow color and green color seeds he obtained. So like that, he conducted experiments, and after conducting his experiments, he concluded the results, and he propounded two important laws based on monohybrid cross, that is law of dominance and law of segregation, or law of separation, or purity of gametes. Students, and also in addition to the monohybrid cross, we also explained about the dihybrid cross. Students, now you are very clear the various concepts of heredity chapter after discussing with part 1 and part 2. You are clear about what is trait, what is a genotype, what is a phenotype, and what is homozygous, what is heterozygous, and what are alleles, and what is a gene, and why the Mendel has chosen his pea plant Physosetum for his experimental material, what is the importance of Pisum sativum. We have discussed all these, students, and once again I am kindly requesting you, please go through your textbook thoroughly and practice number of times, as this is a new chapter. Students, while you are studying with this heredity chapter, you should have knowledge of the mathematics also, because just we have discussed in the last session about the Punnett square, where we are expressing the ratios, that is phenotypic ratio and genotypic ratio, 3 is to 1 and 1 is to 2 is to 1. So already you are known that Gregor John Mendel has an extensive knowledge of mathematics, philosophy, physics, botany, and all he studied together, and he gained a lot of knowledge, and he conducted several experiments, and he explained about the heredity laws, that we are calling it as inheritance of Mendel laws. Students, now in this session we are going to discuss how the traits are being expressed. What you mean by trait, students? You are very clear. See, what you mean by trait? Trait is also called as character. I have given many examples for characters. That is shape of the seed, length of the stem, and color of the seed, and color of the flower, and position of the flower. So not only that, many traits we have discussed: type of hair, and the no ear lobe, presence of ear lobe, this is also trait, presence of eye color, these are all the different traits, and how these characters are being expressed in the filial generation or progeny. For that, what are responsible for the characters are being expressed in the daughter generation or progeny. Students, you are very clearly known that every trait, every character is expressed due to a factor which we are calling it as an alleles. Every trait or every character is expressed because of only two two alleles, that we are nothing but a pair of factors. These factors nowadays we are calling them as a genes. All the traits are under the control of these factors are alleles, or we can also calling them as a genes. So nowadays we are calling them as a genes. The study of genes we are calling it as a genetics. Students, now you are very clear. The traits, whatever we are saying, either it may be color of eye, either it may be length of the hair, either it may be color of the hair. So whatever the trait it may be, the trait is under the control of only factor, or we are calling also it as a and alleles. So now you are very clear. All the traits are under the control of factors or genes or alleles. And what is the gene actually? Gene is a small discrete unit. Gene is a segment of nucleic acid. Students, what do you mean by nucleic acid? So the nucleic acid is nothing but DNA and RNA, which is present inside the nucleus of every cell. Students, you have clearly studied in the ninth class. In the first chapter we have explained about the cell structure. Inside the cytoplasm of the cell, what is present here? Nucleus. Now this is the nucleus. Inside the nucleus, the specific structure is there. We are calling it as a chromosome. This chromosome is made up of a double helical structure, which we are calling it as a DNA. Students, so this gene is nothing but a part of DNA. So the gene is nothing but a part of DNA. And allele is a part of DNA, which is responsible for transferring the character or trait from parental generation to filial generation. So students, now you are very clear. What is DNA? DNA is a double helical structure. It is present inside the chromosome. Where the chromosome is present? It is present inside the nucleus. Nucleus is present inside the cell. So like that, the DNA is very important. Already you have studied in the 8th standard and in the 7th class, very clearly explained. So the DNA is nothing but it is a double helical structure. Double helical. Helical means which looks like a spiral case. So whenever you visit the historical places like Charminar, when you will go to the Charminar, when you are going inside, you will see the steps in the spiral way. Even in streets, even in some places on the different houses, we are seeing the spiral cased steps are present. So this spiral case is also called as helical like structure. Helical. Double means two helical structures. So this is one helical structure and this is another helical structure. So the DNA is having which type of structure? Double helical structure. So in 1953, there were two scientists called as Sir H.C. Crick and James D. Watson. These Francis H.C. Crick and James D. Watson were the two scientists who were studying in Cambridge University. So in this Cambridge University, while they were studying, they have explained the detailed structure of this DNA. In 1953, this DNA is a molecule. DNA is a double helical structure. It is a chemical structure which is looking like a spiral staircase or double helix. Actually, this DNA consists of the chemical compounds like sugar. The sugar may be deoxyribose sugar, and it also contains phosphate groups, that is PO4, and also nitrogenous bases. What are the nitrogenous bases? One is adenine, one is guanine, one is thymine, and other one is cytosine. So all these nitrogenous bases and phosphate group sugar together called as a DNA. This DNA is a double helical structure, and this, see, once you see the double helical structure, this double helical structure consists of nitrogenous bases here. Adenine, that is adenine is linked with thymine, and that is guanine is linked with cytosine. So here guanine, here cytosine, here adenine, here thymine. All these nitrogenous bases are linked, and these nitrogen bases are linked with deoxyribose sugar, and this deoxyribose sugar consists of a phosphate group. So like that, the DNA is a chemical molecule which is made up of all these structures, chemical structures, and it is completely coiled. It is spirally coiled, just like a spiral staircase in our houses. And by giving this detailed structure of the DNA, this Sir H.C. Francis and Crick and James D. Watson, along with these two scientists, there were two more scientists called as Wilkins and Franklin. They awarded Nobel Prize for their great contribution to the structure of genetics. Here, the DNA is the chemical structure which is transferring the traits from parental generation to daughter generation. In this DNA, a part of DNA is nothing but a segment of DNA is nothing but gene. So the gene may be factor or the gene may be allele. Students, so in case of viruses, the specific nucleic acid called as RNA. RNA means ribonucleic acid. Here the sugar is ribose, whereas in DNA the sugar is deoxyribose. But in the RNA, what is the sugar? Ribose sugar. This RNA controls the expression of the trait, especially in case of viruses. If you take viruses, in the viruses all the traits are being controlled because of RNA. But in case of on all the other organisms, the traits, the characters are completely under the control of this DNA. This DNA consists of genes or factors, which we are also calling them as a alleles. Students, now you are very clear. These two scientists. So this scientist is called as Crick, that is Francis S. Crick, and the other scientist is James D. Watson. These were the two scientists. They awarded the Nobel Prize by their great contribution to the biological science. So this is the DNA. Just before I said, A means adenine, T means thymine, C means cytosine, G means guanine. So like that, here in case of DNA, adenine, that is thymine, cytosine, guanine. But in case of RNA, instead of guanine, there is a uracil. So that is the main difference. And in DNA, deoxyribose is present, and in RNA, ribose sugar is present, and all other are similar. So like that, the traits are determined. The traits are completely under the control of this nature of DNA. Students, if there is any change in this DNA structure, if there is any change in the structure of this DNA, it may leads to changes. These changes we are calling them as variations. In the first session I have explained, students, variations means differences in the offsprings by the from the parents is called as variations. How these variations occur? Because of the changes in the chemical nature of the DNA. If there is any change in the structure of the DNA, it may leads to changes, and these changes sometimes may leads to production of new offsprings. New species may develop in case of this chemical nature changing, chemical nature of the DNA. When there is a change in the chemical nature of the DNA, it may lead to formation of a new species. The new species will be formed. So here now you are very clear how these traits are under the control. Students, most of the times they are asking the question, what is the uh, double helical structure that controls the traits? Means you have tried what? DNA. DNA stands for deoxyribonucleic acid. And what is RNA? RNA stands for ribonucleic acid. And what are variations? Variations are nothing but changes between the offsprings and the parents. So now you are very clear, friends. So from this area you may expect 2 marks question. Name the scientist who has given clear double helical structure of the DNA means you would write Sir H.C. Crick and James D. Watson, Francis H.C. Crick and James D. Watson in 1953 students. So like that we have discussed about the. So now you are very clear. These traits are under the control of DNA. And the next topic here we are going to discuss with determination of sex. Students, we are saying the progeny is being produced from the parental generation, or we can also call it as an offspring, or it may be also called as daughter generation, or it may be filial generation. So, whether the progeny is male or female, so how can you determine the sex? How can you establish the sex? So, the process of knowing establishment of sex of an organism of the progeny is called as a sex determination. Students, whenever you are going to any hospitals, you may see the boards sex determination is a crime. Why? Because actually, what is the purpose of sex determination? This sex determination is the phenomena in which the sex of the progeny is determined, whether it is male or female. This is restricted only to radiologists. The person who is studying about the radiology is commonly called as a radiologist. So these radiologists will identify the developing fetus inside the mother's womb. When the zygote is undergoing, several students you have studied in reproduction chapter in sexual reproduction, sir has clearly explained. Here the when the baby is developing inside the when the child is developing inside the womb of the mother at particular age, the radiologist will determine the sex of the baby, whether it is male or female, but it should be confidential. But nowadays, what they are doing, these radiologists or the doctors are leaking out the sex of the baby, and if the sex is determined as a female, most of the mothers are taking the medicine and they're killing their fetuses inside their womb because of there is an intention in the society. If the female baby is born, if the female baby is born, they may have to bear large amount of dowry. It is a evil, it is an evil bad practice of the society. Most of the people will think like that, and by keeping the future in their mind, and they will kill the female fetuses inside the womb itself. So that's why it is a crime. So most of the doctors are not saying the sex of the uh, baby or child after their scanning. Students, so I am requesting that in the future you should not go like that. And in most of the animals, a pair of chromosomes are responsible for the determination of the sex. Actually, how this sex is being determined? The sex is determined because of only chromosomes. The chromosomes are responsible for the determination of sex. The chromosomes which are responsible for the determination of sex are commonly called as a allosomes, or we can also call them as a sex chromosomes. In every organism, there are two types of chromosomes. Some of the chromosomes are helpful in only determining the sex, and some of the chromosomes are helping in only formation of all the organs of the body other than testis and ovary. What is testis and ovary, students? Ovary is a female reproductive organ, testis is a male reproductive organ. So these testis and ovary except and all the organs which are forming inside the body are under the control of a special type of chromosomes. That chromosomes are called as autosomes. Autosomes, whereas the chromosomes which are being only determining sex, they are called as allosomes or sex chromosomes. In case of human being, in case of human being, there are totally 23 pairs of chromosomes, students. How many pairs of chromosomes? 23 pairs. 23 pairs means how many? 46. Out of these 23 pairs, 22 pairs are commonly called autosomes, and one pair is commonly called as allosome. one 22 pairs means 44 chromosomes are autosomes, and one pair of chromosome is called as allosomes. And if the chromosomes are similar, if the sex chromosomes are similar, they are called as homogametic. If the sex chromosomes are dissimilar, they are commonly called as heterogametic. Students, see, in case of female, the sex chromosomes, the two sex chromosomes are XX. That's why we are calling them as a homogametic. Homo means similar, gametic means two gametes are similar, that is XX. And in case of male, there are two gametes, one is X and one is Y. These are called heterogametic. Students, there are two types of chromosomes, one is X and the other is Y. Females have two similar X chromosomes, they are called homogametic, and the males have two dissimilar chromosomes, one is X and other one is Y. So the chromosomes other than the sex, we are calling them as a autosomes. How many pairs, students? How many pairs are there? 22 pairs. Means total chromosomes how many? 44. How many pairs of sex chromosomes? That is one pair in male, that is XY, and one pair in female, that is XX. So this type of sex is called female homogametic and male heterogametic. Actually, there was a scientist called Henking. So this Henking was the scientist who explained about this, and there was another scientist called Sutton who explained about these chromosomes, and these chromosomes are responsible for the determination of the sex. Students, all the 46 chromosomes, that 23 pairs of chromosomes, when they are arranged in an organized manner by using the chemicals, such type of arrangement of chromosomes is called karyotyping. What do we call it? Karyotyping. Students, when you see this Y chromosome, see here, this is the Y chromosome and this is the X chromosome. In the center there is a structure called centromere, and these are called short arms and these are called long arms. X chromosome is longer and than the Y chromosome. This is Y and this is X. Alright students, chromosome is made up of what? DNA. The DNA consists of what? Genes. Genes are also called as factors or alleles. These alleles or genes which are present on the DNA, which is present inside the chromosome, are responsible for expression of the traits in all the living organisms. Students, the gametes, all the gametes produced by women are only X chromosomes. In case of female or woman, what are the two types of chromosomes? X chromosomes. The two X chromosomes are called ova. Ova is the plural and ovum is the singular. And when you come to the man, one is gamete is sperm, that is X chromosome, and other gamete is also sperm, which is Y chromosome. So that these type of gametes are called heterogametes. One is X and one is Y. If the sperm, the gamete sperm carries Y, and if this Y chromosome fertilizes the X chromosome, then the baby will XY condition. So the baby will be a boy. Suppose if the sperm carries X chromosome, now this X chromosome fertilizes with the X chromosome of mother, and the baby will be a girl child. So here now students, you can say very easily who determines the sex of the baby, whether father or mother. Very good, father, because the father is having two types of chromosomes, one is X and other one is Y. Whereas mother, she is having two types of X chromosomes, same chromosomes. Suppose if the father will produce two sperms, one sperm Y will go and fuses with X, then the baby will be boy. Suppose if the from the father again X will be go and combine with the X of the mother, then it will lead to a condition called XX condition, and the baby will be a girl. So by this we can say most of the times we are seeing in the society, most of the mother-in-laws are completely criticizing their sons, and criticizing their daughter-in-laws, because she is not responsible for the development of the progeny of a girl. Who is responsible for this actually? the male is responsible. The father is responsible for determining the sex of the daughter or progeny. Students, you see here, when you see this father is having how many chromosomes? 44 chromosomes. They are called autosomes, and XY is called heterogametic chromosomes. When you come to the mother, 44 chromosomes, and here that is XX gametes. Sorry, here it should be what, 44. So 44 should be right here, and here from the father 22x, from the mother 22x, 22x and 22y, and here in the mother 22x and 22y. Suppose if this 22x go and fuses with this mother 22 plus 22 plus 22 44, then x and x will become baby, and this will become boy, and this will become baby, and this will become boy. So by this we can say this is called as girl, and this is called as boy, and this is called as girl, and this is called as boy. So students, now you are very clear. During the process of sexual reproduction, in the process of meiosis, you have studied in reproduction chapter very clearly about the meiosis in the cell division or cell cycle, how the gametes are being produced. One is X gamete, one is Y gamete, and here both the two are X gametes. So now you see here, this is what, that is Reginald Punnett square, where the two, one is two X chromosomes are present on the left side, and two X chromosomes on the upper side, XY. So now this X and this X fuses gives XX, that is female. This X and fuses with XY gives male, and here this X and this X will gives female. So this X will fuses with the Y and gives male. So with this we can say the 1:1 sex ratio is produced. So here both here the male is responsible for determining the sex of the baby, whether boy or girl, but not the female. Students, you have to keep it in the mind. Most of the times you are seeing in the society about this type of sex determination, which is commonly practicing by the unknown people. Students, now you are well educated. After seeing, after thoroughly learning this lesson, you should bring awareness among the people in the villages who are not having this knowledge. Now you see here, this Gregor John Mendel has studied his genetics, his heredity, and he conducted experiments on which plant? Pisum sativa. Students, now there is one more scientist called as Thomas Hunt Morgan, T.H. Morgan, and Walter Seton. He was a scientist who studied about the fruit fly, which we are calling it as a Drosophila melanogaster. So when you see this Drosophila melanogaster, the scientists like T.H. Morgan and Walter Seton has taken this an experimental material, and they explain the inheritance in case of insects or in case of animals. And in case of this Drosophila melanogaster, how many pairs of chromosomes are there? Four pairs. Three pairs are autosomes, and one pair is X and Y. So just like in the human beings, the sex is also determining in case of Drosophila melanogaster. Students, it is not in your syllabus. You are going to study about this in the higher studies. And students, now you are very clear about the sex determination, and also you are very clearly learned how the traits are being expressed. Students, after completing the session, here I am forwarding this assignment for you students. Please note it down and write the notes for this assignment. Explain sexual determination of human beings with a flow chart. Very, very important for your summative assessment exam for 4 marks question. You have to clearly explain the determination of sex in human beings by drawing a flow chart. And here there is a 2 marks question. One, who decide the sex of the baby, whether mother or father? Just before I said, and how the traits are determined just because of only DNA. That is 2 marks question. And in dash in 1956 studied on a small fruit fly, that is Drosophila melanogaster. Who are the scientist students? T.H. Morgan and Walter Sutton. Changes in the chemical nature of DNA may lead to what? Variations. Students, I hope that you have clearly understood about this sex determination and also how the traits are being get expressed. Students, in this heredity chapter, I come to know that you have clearly understood the basical concepts, the fundamentals of the genetic chapter. What is heredity? What is variation? And what was the history of Gregor John Mendel? Why he has chosen the pea plant for his experimental material? And what are the 7 traits he has explained? Contrasting traits in the Pisum sativum he has explained, and Gregor Mendel's work was not identified, and also he worked in his monastery as a monk for several years by conducting experiments on the pea plants, and also he explained about the monohybrid cross, what was the experiment he conducted, and he explained by taking the single trait like color of the seed, and he has clearly explained about the two important laws. One is law of dominance and law of separation or law of segregation. And he also not stopped with single trait, he extended his experiments by conducting taking 2 traits on Pisum sativum, and he also explained the dihybrid cross, and which was for lead to formation of another law called as law of independent assortment. So I hope that you all learned all these basic things in this chapter, and once again I am requesting students, please you go through the textbook several times, and whenever you will have doubt, please subscribe this lesson in the DO YouTube channel, and you will get any doubts if you are having, you will get clarity by seeing these slides or by listening to this lesson. And students, and every time take the notebook and keep on practicing the diagrams, keep on practicing the important terminology what I have explained, what is an allele, what is a gene, what is homozygous, what is heterozygous, and what is phenotype, what is genotype. We have clearly explained all this, what is law of dominance. By writing several times only you can easily remember. Students, with this 3 parts, first part, second part, and part 3, we have completed the topic of heredity. And in the next session, we are going to discuss with one more topic is evolution. So in the evolution, what is Lamarckism, what is Darwinism, and what are the what are the fossils, and how the human being has evolved, how the we have to discuss all these students in the next sessions. We will meet students, and thank you students, thank you very much, thank you.